right, welcome
Hello,
everyone.
everyone. Hello, hello. Happy to have a lot of you joining us for monday.com for accounting firms. So we'll let everyone join the room. We have a lot of you joining today, and we're super happy to have you. We'll make some quick introductions in a moment. And if you don't mind, while you are joining, just perhaps put in the chat where you're from. Would love to see who's joining us today. We are at 100. Hello, Asheville. I'm actually in Raleigh, so nice to see you. We have some Arkansas folks in the house. Wow, very nice.
Oh,
Hello,
somebody from
hello.
Alaska. So
I
maybe
love it.
colder than Minnesota. I'm based in Minnesota. Oh, Wisconsin. Nice.
Very cool. Hello, hello. Thank you
Love it.
guys for joining. We'll give it another minute. Amazing to see you all. Some Canadians, eh?
I love Toronto, Stephanie. Shout out to Toronto. Oh, DC.
I see we have Avi from LA. We have Anne from San Fran. We even have a joiner from Brazil. How about that? So Daniel will give it maybe 30 more seconds. Everybody's time is very precious and it's busy season. So how about that?
That's right.
All right, 30 more seconds. Hello, hello. And thank you so much for spending some time with us, even some folks over in Europe. I saw Denmark and the Netherlands. Amazing. All right. So without further ado, hello, everyone. We're so happy to welcome you today. My name is Sarit Chalamish, and I am a channel partner manager here at monday.com. And we're super excited to be hosting you today and having you join us for the webinar about accounting firms, CPA firms, and how they could best use monday.com. So without further ado, I would like to tell you what's happening today. And I would love to say firstly, I will put here, well, you guys all know where the chat is. So if you have any question whatsoever, I just wanted to encourage you all. It's going to be a very dynamic event today. So Daniel and I will be monitoring the chat for questions.
Yep.
And then if for some reason you have a question that you would like Daniel to respond to offline, I am throwing a link to a form, which will then feed to a Monday board, as you can imagine, and Daniel will take them offline. So by all means, feel free to ask questions. And then if you have any questions, I guess in the technical realm, just let me know in the chat box as well. Last but not least, we will send you a recording as a follow-up, so worry not. And with that said, I would like to welcome Daniel Moshe of Tech Guru. Please take it away.
Thank you so much, Sarit. It is an absolute pleasure to have the opportunity to get to work with you. And thank you. So here's what we're going to cover today. First and foremost, we're going to talk all about monday.com. I'm going to give you a little bit of background. I know most of the participants on our webinar today are already using monday.com, but just to make sure that we're all talking the same language, I'm going to share a little bit about terminology and some of just the really basic things about monday.com, a little bit my background. And so, I'm not just like testing things on you today. Everything I'm going to be sharing from you is from real life expertise. And then I also want to share with you, the reason we're here today is that because we at Tech Guru started using and just fell in love with monday.com. It started in our marketing team, and then it evolved, and we started using it in our engineering team and our operations team. It just kind of took off. And so the realization was like, wow, this would be an amazing, amazing platform to share with our clients, of which are mostly CPA firms. And sure enough, it makes so much sense for CPA firms to be using monday.com. And I'm going to share all about that with you in just a moment. So we're going to be covering the bulk of today's presentation is going to be real live demo of workflows that our team have created in monday.com for a tax return, monthly bookkeeping, and a sales pipeline workflow. And then I'm going to share with you a couple of next step items, and we're going to be answering questions throughout. So please include your questions in the chat, and then if it makes sense and I can weave them in to the conversation, I certainly will. So that is our agenda today. A little background on me and our tech guru is that we support over 500 accounting professionals every single day from a technology standpoint. We're a certified monday.com partner, so we're helping build these boards for CPA firms across the United States, and we believe firms should get more from their technology, and technology should serve them better. And so that's really what we are here to do, to make a difference and help CPA and accounting firms be more successful so they can continue to have an even greater positive impact in the business community, help people be more financially successful in their lives. A little bit more about me. I've been in the IT space since 2001, including starting off by riding my bicycle, and I had one of those Nokia ice cream sandwich type smartphones, or not smartphones, there's not a smartphone. That's how I started my life, my career in technology. And then the other thing I like to share is I bring a real business savvy angle to all of this, because I work with leadership teams as a leadership team coach, and we're all about process and building solutions and solving problems. And monday.com is just a really, really amazing way to accomplish that. So let's go ahead and jump into just a little bit more about, just like I mentioned, that real basic background about some of the reasons we feel monday.com is just an amazing application. First and foremost, monday.com is the work operating system for teams. What that means is it fills in the gaps in that white space between all those other tools that you use day in and day out, Microsoft Teams and Slack and practice management software and email and tax software and audit software. It fills in those gaps where little problems can hide and roadblocks and obstacles can kind of be hidden. It helps you break down the silos, keep everybody on the same page, increase the speed of your business, remove all of those kind of like hurdles and things that are slowing people down, especially when they're working remotely. And it really gives your team the ability to act on data and information that otherwise might be hidden away in a shared drive or a file or folder that people just don't even know is there. I also like to share and make sure that you're aware that not only is there a really great browser-based version of monday.com, but the mobile app is awesome. In fact, my kids and I use monday.com to plan our weekends together. That's right. I'm so nerdy. I know. I can't help it.
I love it.
So they use the mobile app, and they're moving things around. This is what we're going to do today. And I'm like, okay, what's next? Like, have you checked monday.com? I'm like, oh, okay, so, all right. I get up to speed on that. So tons and tons of applications here. And so now let's bring it down even a little bit more down to the ground and talk about how monday.com works for CPA firms. It makes sense for CPA and accounting firms. And really what it does, it creates a system, and you're going to see this in just a moment, that increases team collaboration and team communication in context. I'm going to show you all about that. It helps you identify where are roadblocks and bottlenecks happening in your processes and in your workflows to keep things moving forward. The fact is, the stacked files and folders workflow management system, it doesn't work. It was already on its way out, and now it's already completely defunct, because that doesn't work when people are more flexible in their working environment in and out of the office, as you know. Not only that, but it makes sense for CPA firms because there's a lot of communication that needs to happen with clients, and a lot of that communication can be automated, and I'll show you how. It also gives your team members the ability to communicate in context. So when you're chatting and communicating and working and collaborating on a client, a workflow, et cetera, it's going to help your team stay in the loop on exactly what's going on, where this is at, without having to waste people's time and energy going around and, hey, what's going on with client A? What's going on with client B? It's all right there to see. Also, it can be customized to your heart's content. I'll show you all about that, columns and different ways to set up boards. And this is the most powerful point I'm going to make today. Well over 4,000 firms are already using and leveraging and getting the benefits of monday.com today. So without further ado, let's take a look at our first workflow. And so again, I just want to point out that this is a live demo. So not everything always works perfectly every single time. I'm going to do our best. So what I want to talk about with this first workflow is it's a tax return workflow. And as you know, we're all getting into busy season here. So this is the perfect time to be talking about this. And one of the main points I want to make is that there is no one way and there is no right way to build anything in monday.com. The only right way is that it serves your firm and serves your team and makes your workflows work better. So in fact, I'm not going to show you just one, but two ways to do a tax preparation workflow in monday.com. And the really cool thing about this is we kept it really simple. We took some of the best things that monday.com has to offer. We put it together, and it can be something that can be put together and built in really a short amount of time. The other thing I want to point out, and you'll see I'll have a link to this a little bit later, we have packaged up everything that you're going to see here today, and you can click and download and install it. And I skip the download. You don't have to download anything to your computer. You can click a link and actually install everything that you're going to see here today in your monday.com account for free. We're giving it away. And so we'll have a link for you that you can download that. The other thing I want to share with you today is, believe it or not, building a great monday.com workflow doesn't start in monday.com, in my humble opinion. It starts with thinking about the best way to get something done. And so we've created also a workflow planning document. It's a Word document. It's totally fill out. You can fill it out. That we'll also provide to you for free. Just click on that link. It's going to be shared a little bit later today in our workshop, on our webinar. So you can get both of those tools for free. And so we started thinking about, hey, what is the best way to get a tax return out the door and have a happy, raving customer? And so we broke it down. There's two different types of scenarios. One scenario is that you've got a kind of a high volume workflow. You're doing very similar types of tax returns for your clients, and you're just they're all kind of very similar workflow. The same thing needs to be done for each client. And so that's exactly where I'm going to start. It's our 2020 tax return board. And yes, I'll share with you a little bit about some of the terminology I'll be using. These items here on the left are boards. This is a folder that you can use to organize your boards, because once you get more than a handful, it can get a little bit crazy. So you'll see in the second solution that we built, we put that in a client portfolios board, our folder, excuse me. And then in this board, it's a one board solution for the tax return, because each of those tax returns is very similar. So I'll walk through that in just a moment. Another couple items or terminologies that I'm going to be using is a group. So this 2020 tax return is a group. Groups can be collapsed, groups can be expanded. It's another way to organize information, with the key thing being having the information that your team members need to see come up first and be the focal point. Okay, so groups help you do that. And then each of these are columns: preparer, reviewer, return status, due date. And one of the things I just love about monday.com is that you can add, move, change columns with incredible ease to really allow you to configure the workflow to work exactly the way it should for your organization. And there is no doubt about it, just like every snowflake is completely different, even though each and every one of you has an accounting firm or CPA firm or providing these types of services, without a doubt, every single one of you would build your tax return workflow in monday.com a little different to serve the needs of your team and your organization. So let's dive
Daniel.
in. Oh, yes.
Quick question. So one of our attendees is asking whether it would be possible to make it, for guests to see only specific groups or boards. So perhaps you could address this, and it's obviously coming with item permission. So just wanted to highlight that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, we will get to that in just a moment. I'm glad that you asked that. It actually makes a little bit more sense in the next tax return workflow, where you have a little bit more of a high touch relationship and custom relationship. And we actually organized the workflow into boards by client versus having one big board with all of your clients. So
amazing.
Sarit,
So we'll
hold me accountable.
Amazing. I
Talking
will.
about that, okay? So in this case, right, it wouldn't make sense to share this board with a client because you've got all of your client's information, but I'll show you that, that option in just a moment. So you've got all these tax returns that have to get done. You've probably got a list of your clients somewhere, right? So I'm just thinking about how you would kick this off for the year. Monday.com includes the functionality to import items from an Excel spreadsheet. And I know everybody on the call, all 144 of us, love our spreadsheets. And so while, of course, there's other ways to get rows and items created, of course, just by clicking the add here, you can import items from a spreadsheet if you have a list of your clients already. So that can increase or reduce, I should say, the time to getting up and running with your very first workflow. Another way to add new clients to this table is using what we call a form view. And so it's great because Sarit already shared a form that you can use to submit your questions. But a form, what it's going to do is going to allow you to share a link with your clients and allow them to upload their documents and set up their name. And so here we go, add a file. There we go, random file, hit submit, check it out. It's already going to be showing up on the main table. And as we scroll to the right, you can see that one of the columns that we added is a file column. And there we go. There's the document that has been uploaded. So we can see, all right, this is ready to go. We set up a couple columns in this workflow, this board for you. First and foremost is the preparer. So this is the person who is responsible for getting each of these steps done. And the reviewer is the person who's going to be signing off on it. So check this out in the return status column. And these are the status columns are one of my favorite things because it's so visual, it's so human. Really just gets you the opportunity to see at a glance where things are at. So once things are set to ready, what's going to happen is a notification is going to be automatically sent to me, the preparer. And in fact, if I can scroll over just a little bit, on the notifications on the left, here you can see Mrs. Beasley is ready for preparation. It's letting me know. It also sent me an email to let me know, hey, it's time to get started on this work. It's ready to go, right? And so we hit assembled. Once that has been done, that notification is going to be sent to the reviewer. And you'll see again under notifications, it's ready for review, or we'll say it's ready for review to the reviewer. And you can see, so we've used statuses to create some automations, but there's a lot more you can do with this as well. So for example, you could tie an email to go to a customer using an integration, saying to the customer, hey, wanted to let you know, Mrs. Beasley, we just got your tax return ready to go, or it's assembled, or it's approved, or it's been sent, etc. You can set up automations to send emails directly to the customer, saving you time and headache and hassle. And this is one of the favorite things about monday.com is they say, why do the repetitive things? Leave those to the robots, right? And I'm going to show you automations in just a moment so you can see how some of those things can happen. Some other integrations that are possible, then you can tie those integrations to be kicked off to statuses. Would be connecting it to Slack. So you could have a Slack channel for your team that says, hey, Mrs. Beasley is ready to be worked on. Who's going to work on it? Another option is with a Twilio integration. Believe it or not, you can really easily send text message notifications as well. So many clients, I mean, let's be honest, everybody's inboxes are overflowing, but people respond to text messages. They won't answer their phone, but boy, will they look at a text message, right? So you could send a text message to your client, and then you can be that CPA that is getting talked about at the cocktail party when we have those again. Like, hey, I got my tax return done. Check it out. My CPA texts me. That's pretty cool. So those are just a couple of examples of integrations. Thanks, Sarit, for fielding those questions in the chat. That's awesome.
Yeah, maybe we can just give some highlights because I'm not sure if everybody is able to see them because I'm receiving them on my side. I'm not sure if everybody is able to see. So maybe we can just give a couple updates. Would you like that, Daniel?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so a quick question here was regarding the types of emails that Monday supports. So I replied, these are either Gmail or Office 365 we can integrate with. And we also have a native integration with MailChimp for those who want to do like a marketing campaign or an email campaign. In terms of running multiple boards, you'll talk about dashboards. So
Yep.
that could summarize data across the boards, and we'll talk about that, and also mirroring. We can also mirror across boards.
That's right.
And one last question I just wanted to highlight is regarding client PDFs. Can they be stored? And the answer is absolutely. You will see it shortly. We have a file column. So Daniel, just if you could touch on those. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, thank you, Sarit. Awesome.
Anytime.
So where we left off is, of course, due date. So this, of course, we are due date driven types of organizations. So what's really cool about due date, you can set it here. It's tied to the person who is responsible for getting this task done. And we have an automation, which I'll share with you in just a moment, that will send a reminder if that due date is approaching or work has not been started yet. We also have a time tracking column because it can be very handy to get an idea of how much time we're spending on these different parts of the process. And so what's really cool is you can see you're getting a total at the bottom as well, total time spent, as well as how much time is being spent so far on each of these items. Some other automations that we created, I'm going to show you behind the scenes in just a moment. When an item is sent to client, it automatically populates the sent date. And that's right, automatically is the word of the day, because that's what it's all about. And then when an item is set to completed, you can see that completed date column is also automatically set. So it's all about saving time and saving clicks and helping you spend more time on driving value and focusing on your clients. So let's take a look under the hood, behind the scenes. And I know automations can be seem a little bit scary, but I want to share with you that these are so easy to understand and easy to set up, and they're human understandable. There's no code required. So here we can see that when a new item is created, we're notifying Julie. Julie's in charge of keeping this process moving forward. And so she's going to get a notification every time a new item is created, either through the form or manually created on that list. And I also mentioned how we set those dates, statuses based on the status automatically. And so check it out. When return status changes to completed, we set the complete date to current date. And so here, this is what it looks like inside one of these automations. Return status, that's the field, that's the status field. And what do we want to have happen? Changes to completed. And then here's what happens, set the completed date to current date. And so I'll show you a few more examples of automations here. We have 2 of those, and we have 2 more automations that are for notifications. You can see there's a little bit bell there, and then there's a stack. This stacked item, or it kind of looks like a hamburger, is when it's a status column. So when a status changes to ready, notify the preparer. When status changes to assembled, notify reviewer. So the right people are getting notified at the right time that it's their turn to go in and do their part. And I also mentioned there was a little alarm bell that we have so that if something is not completed by 3 days before the due date, you're going to notify the reviewer and be able to get in there and update it and get started. So I just want to share with you, not to overwhelm you, but there are a lot of different types of automations. And so almost anything you want to be able to do, there's probably an automation already here ready to go, whether it's about due dates, notifications, or things that are going to be recurring. We're going to talk about recurring in a little bit. And if it's not there, fear not, create custom automations. When something happens, what do you want to have happen? No code required, all in plain English, easy to understand and easy to implement. So a couple other things I want to point out. We talked about board members. And so this is who can have access to it. If they have a little crown, they can edit the board, and then board permissions. And then here is a really great way to see board activity. Here's the log. Everybody, who doesn't love audit logs and audit trails? It's right here. We can see exactly what's been happening, by when, and who done it. So it's really easy for us to have a sense of where things are at and who's been working on what.
So Daniel, can I interject for a quick question?
Of course.
So I think a really good question here that was asked, how do you handle this at scale? So let's say I have 500 customers. How do you handle this at scale? And would love to hear your take on this.
Yes, that's a perfect segue into what I was about to start talking
Amazing.
about. Because yes, imagine, what do we have? 10 columns here or 10 rows here. Imagine if there's 500 or 1,000, right? And so that's where board views come into play to give you an understanding that there's other ways to look at information. So I'll give you a couple examples of board views. Here's one. So let's say that you're able to spread your work out by month. Here we've created a board view based on what's called a filter that allows you to just see, hey, here's what needs to be done this month. And so here you can see due date filtered by this month, right? So that really kind of narrows it down, makes it so it's easier to see the things that need to be focused on this month, but you could just as easily do this month, this week as well. Another way to look at the information are the things that you or a particular team member are assigned to. So in this case, we, using a filter, create a filter of all the things that Julie is assigned to. So Julie can just see the 3 or 10 or 20 things that she needs to see and needs to be working on, allowing you to better organize, understand, and see the information that needs to be acted on right now. So using board views and filters, it's going to give you an idea or a sense of the things that are most important and poignant at a given time. Another thing I want to mention here is that on every item, there's a little conversation bubble. And as I was mentioning previously, it's all about communicating and collaborating in context. So this communication bubble, start conversation bubble, is relevant only to this item. So when I put something in here and I do @mention Julie, hey, I have a question on this, it's going to be notifying her. She'll get a notification item on the bell, and she's going to know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. I'm talking about misinformation. Little joke there, misinformation. I'm talking about that item. So
it was funny. I do have to give it to you.
that's all Julie. All right. So this is the tax return workflow that we developed for more of a volume practice. Those simpler, just the 1040s. Just getting those things out the door. I'm going to show you what a workflow might look like if you took it and you kind of flipped it on its side, and instead of organizing it by task or type of work, we organize it by client. And so here is an example where maybe you've got a group of clients that are high touch, more custom, have a bunch of different schedules, need to file in multiple different states, and have a more complex engagement. It's not just the same thing over and over again, like with the more simpler kind of clients. And so that's where building one board per client can make a lot of sense. And this, to that previous question, is where you could set up a shareable board so you can invite guests to be able to view and understand and have access to the information that you want them to be able to see and have access to. So I'm going to walk you through this workflow. So here, what we've done is we've grouped it into the type of engagement. So here we have a 2020 tax return engagement, and we have a 2021 bookkeeping, and we've actually got it set up for future months as well. So this client, we're going to do their tax return, and we're going to do a monthly bookkeeping engagement. I'll start with the tax return and show you how we've set that up. Hopefully will inspire you to use maybe some new column types you haven't used before, or try some things out you haven't tried before. And also just a way to kind of pull all these different types of information together. And then after that, I'll go ahead and share with you how we built this recurring monthly type of engagement, the bookkeeping. So first and foremost, the 2020 tax return. What you can see here is we listed out the tasks that need to occur and need to happen to get this tax return out the door on time. And we did some different things. This time we have some new abilities because we have each item as a row in this workflow versus being under the status column in the workflow that we looked at previously. I'll also introduce you to the idea of a template right now And when you have a template, what it allows you to do is get things set up with everything, all the things you might do for somebody, and then simply add a new board, excuse me, add, choose from template, see more templates, and here you can see your organization's templates. So when you get a new client, all you do is new template, your organization says, this will say the name of your organization, and then you'll hit use, and that's all you have to do to create a new client in your system, and all the tasks are all set up, ready to go, and this is what it will look like. So we take client A, we build out all the different tasks that need to happen, and we establish due dates. Now I'm going to share with you a type of column we haven't talked about yet, which is a dependency column. So this is where one task has to be done before a previous task. And so in this case, this is a linear workflow, which means every task needs to be done before only can be done after the previous task. And so one of the things we did here is once we set that up, we added an automation so that if one of these due dates needs to change, so let's say, for example, meeting review, they need to reschedule, they want to move it out a week, it's going to automatically change the other dates. I don't know if you could see that, was very subtle, but you can see the transmit this tax return and the archive documents all moved out a week automatically because we had to move that meeting with that client out. And so I'll scroll to the right, and here's how you can see that date dependency. And all we're saying that archive documents cannot be done until transmit the tax return and confirmation was sent to the client has been done. I'm going to show you another really cool view, a way to look at this information. It's the Gantt chart view. So it takes what you're seeing with all those dates, and this is a relatively recently updated monday.com feature. Let me slide that over there. And so here you can see with the tax return, what is being done and by when, and making kind of a visual view. And then the same thing happens here. If something needs to get moved out, let's say, oh, let's move that tax return authorization. If we move that out a little bit, it's going to automatically update and move out the dependent items as well. So really great way to see and manage team capacity by looking at it in a visual way using the automatically generated Gantt view.
This is really next level, Daniel. This is really, really nice to see how you guys put this together.
Thank you. So a couple more things I want to talk about. And again, I'll go ahead and go behind the scenes and under the hood, so to speak, and show the automations behind this. But the way that we are going to automatically notify the next person that work is ready to be started is that we use an automation when the item is done, the dependent item automatically changes to status ready, and that's going to also notify the person responsible that, hey, the previous item is done. It's time to go ahead and get started on assembling that return. Everything is here and ready to go. And so just think that functionality alone, how they can keep everybody moving forward and getting things done. And so we also included, like the previous workflow, a time tracking column, a documents column. And then if you're wondering, I'll show you how we did the status automation. When this is done, the dependent item is going to turn to ready. And the way that we did that is using this status dependency column. So let's take a look at the automations behind the scene that are making this all this magic happen and not having to just think like, I got this done, I have to now manually communicate that to somebody. No more of that. It's all going to happen automatically. So that due date adjustment automation is happening with this automation. When a due date of an item is adjusted, reflect to make changes in the date of its dependency item. So it's going to happen all automatically. When an item is created in client documents, we want Julie to be notified so she can go ahead and take a look and keep things moving along. When a status changes to done, here we go. There's that automation for the status update dependency, status dependency to ready. And then when a status changes to ready, notify the person responsible. So this is where that magic is happening. So just think how much time right here is going to be saved having these things be automated and be able to be seen in a visual way. And then, of course, we have our last ditch reminder here. 2 days before a due date arrives and status is not done, let's make sure we remind somebody to keep things moving. No more having to manually, or managers have to manually check on the status of those items. All right, so let's take a look here at a couple of other ways to look at this information. So the main table has everything, a lot of information. So we used views. I already showed you the Gantt view. So we're using views to take a look at, hey, what needs to be done this month? And so we're using a filter here to show only items that need to be done this month. But check it out. If we wanted to do a filter instead on items that want to be done that are overdue, here we could have an overdue view. And look how easy it is to save something as a new view. So it's going to show overdue items. It's already saved as a new view, right? It's that easy to make a filter. You can also organize things by a particular person. So here we've got a filtered view by person that's only going to show the items that need to be worked on and focused on by that particular person. And so you can see, all right, this is done. The other cool thing about a deadline column is that it's going to show you if it's been done on time. And you might be asking, what the heck is a deadline column? So a deadline column is anytime you take a due date column and convert it into a deadline column. Now that we've already done that, we can't, you can only remove deadline mode. Deadline mode connects the person responsible with the due date and a status to help you see if these items are getting done on time every time. So let's take a look now at that monthly bookkeeping workflow that I mentioned previously. I'm going to go back to the main table, the master table. And so we did something very, very similar here. We organized this information for every month, and then we just duplicated this group right here, duplicate this group, duplicate the items as well for the entire year on this board. And so what's powerful about that is we wanted to see a history. We wanted to make sure that we could go to our client and say, hey, this is getting done consistently on time, and we're getting our client on-time financials. So let's say we always want to have that monthly financial review meeting in January. Let's do it, you know, by the 16th, right? And so the due dates are going to automatically update here to provide ample time to get those tasks done to make sure that we can hit that deadline. Otherwise, the January bookkeeping is very, very similar to the other one, to the tax return workflow. But what's powerful about thinking about your client engagements and having everything in one place for that client is you can see everything that different teams are working on, allowing you to break down silos and have teams be able to collaborate and coordinate together. Sarit, are there any questions you want to address live before we move into the, I want to do a little bit of a sales pipeline demo?
Sure. So we've been going through them. The timeline view, I can see it viewed, you know, as days, weeks, months. Yeah. So I guess that was a question or a statement. I'm not quite sure. Let's see. Do you have timers, or does time need to be manually entered? Is that a question you want to take? Or we can take this, you know, as we respond to people.
You know, I know there are some automations off the top of my head for timekeeping that we can probably assign to the status.
Yeah, yeah.
But otherwise, it's as simple as hitting play.
Correct. And we also have somebody else, I think it was Chuck, was asking in the chat as well about the time tracking and whether it's possible to automate it. And I just answered, you know, kind of broadly. It's more of a technical answer, so we'll be happy to answer it offline at support@monday.com. So one last question here from Lawrence. Is there a way to sort the board and filter by board? So I think you showed some sorting, right? You showed some filtering. We definitely have a very robust filtering capability. So
yeah. In the sort column here, we haven't really talked about that yet, but you can sort by any column on this board. So sort by due date, status, and so forth. So I would be remiss if I didn't show how a way that we could fold all this information together and look at it at a little bit of a higher view using what's called a dashboard. So we establish a dashboard that is rolling up information from these client boards and showing us at a glance, where is everything at using what this is called a battery widget. We can see where each client is at, who has which tasks and on which status. And then here as well is a way to roll up multiple boards into one Gantt chart view. So it'd be very easy to kind of move things out, saying, oh boy, we've got a lot going on here on the 12th. Maybe we should move one of these clients out a little bit to kind of help balance and manage our workflow. You can see this one's already moved out. And you can see, boy, this is pretty full right here. A lot going on here. So maybe let's move that out and balance and set expectations accordingly. These are just 3 of the many different types of widgets, including the Llama Farm widget. I invite you to play with the Llama Farm widget. That's a lot of fun. Of the many types of widgets that you can use to visualize information. So I talked about it when I was teeing this whole thing up, is that it unlocks your information and makes it much more easy to use, view, understand, and most importantly, take action on those items. So I think you mentioned I was going to show tasks shortly. Yeah, we can touch on my week. My week is another way to show what you need to work on and when. And so check it out. I can see which tasks are assigned to me, what's going on this week, what's coming up in the future. My week is a really cool functionality that's built into monday.com. And you can also take a look at other people's weeks. So I can see, hey, what's going on with, what's going on with another member of my team, or what's going on next week. Really just another way to kind of filter, view, and look at information in kind of a simplified, streamlined manner. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and talk about sales pipeline. And so it's great. We've got some great clients. We're doing bookkeeping. We're doing tax returns. Now, wouldn't it be great to help automate and streamline how we bring new clients and build our practices? So the way that we use that, and I built a very, very simple and streamlined monday.com board for the sales pipeline. And so what this is going to allow you to do, or enable you to do, is keep track of those conversations that you're having with clients and people who you've been referred to or have been referred to you, and make sure that balls aren't getting dropped and that we're continuing to build those conversations to add clients to the firm. And so there's just one view I've set up here. I've kept it really simple. And so here you can see we've organized this into groups of active leads, won leads, and lost leads. And so lost to me just means not right now. So they're definitely worth continuing to keep track of and to continue the conversation at a point in the future, maybe providing some nurturing follow-up campaigns from time to time. So let's talk about active leads. Once again, we have that same functionality where we can have a conversation internally about that particular lead, who it's assigned to internally in the organization, who's going to be the partner in charge of it. And then again, this is customizable. You can use whatever terminology makes sense for you. You can indicate the date that you last contacted this particular client. And then here is your sales process, right? And so everybody's sales process is going to be a little bit different. In this case, we have contacted, proposal, contract, and payment. And then we have custom statuses for each of these columns. So contacted, oh, we need to call them again, or email was sent, or we've already won them. That's great. Proposal sent, was it sent, approved, or in negotiations? Contract, has it been signed? Payment, has it been received? So what's actually kind of cool, we built into this board a summary status column. So as this sales process moves along and things start to turn green, you can see, oh, now it's 50% to winning. Oh, it's 75% to winning. And then, we've got that to move to the one column already because payment was set. And I'll show you the automations behind the hood as well. So it automatically moves down to the one status when that goes to 100. I'll show you another couple of columns that are really helpful here. We're showcasing the phone column. So it makes it really easy just to click and call, really even right from the application. Here's your address, so you can follow up with a thank you card or thank you note. And then, of course, you have email address, which you could use to integrate with your email platform to send emails to those clients as well. This is available as a template, absolutely. That's a great question. And it's right in here, I believe. So forgive me, I'm not going to know right off the top of my head, but choose from templates, see more templates.
Correct.
I'm just going to
You
say
got it. It's so intuitive,
pipeline.
right?
I think it's right here.
Mhm.
So you got me. I didn't get that creative on this one. I went and looked through all the sales pipelines, and I thought this was just the simplest and cleanest one. So yes, you can just hit use and literally install almost like we haven't really made that many tweaks to this. You can install almost exactly what you see here into your monday.com account for free. Yes, it's a really great, I just really love this. It's just the simplicity of it. So let's take a look behind the scenes, under the hood, at what are the automations that are making this work. So check this out. 5 days after last contact arrives, when that date arrives, if it's not one, we're going to send a notification to that partner who's been assigned. 5 days after last contact, if it still haven't been one, that's like the nudge. Hey, check in with this person. You should follow up. All right. Payment changes to loss, moving to loss. Any of these items, any of these statuses move to loss, it automatically is going to move it to a group. That's what this arrow means. It's going to change the group to the lost group. And when contact changes to one, it's going to also automatically, we saw that before, automatically change that to the right group. And there's so much more we can do with this. We could add a notification when its status changes to one, notify billing, or there's just, when you're tracking and managing a process in this way, where everybody can see and be on the same page about what's going on, the possibilities are endless. You can just totally break down those silos and keep this process flowing instead of having balls getting dropped or hiccups occurring. Same thing here. I'll just briefly touch on the fact that filters are also available to you here. And so we could say, all right, for all of Julie's items, we're going to filter that here and save to a new view. And we're going to say Julie's leads. So done. Julie's now got a board only showing her leads. That's literally how easy it is to make another view that shows you just the information that you need to see. And once again, we can see here's all the activity, who's been winning business, who's been losing business. Here's there's the sales log. And again, thinking about the integrations, the integrations are, almost endless. We could connect Stripe and have it automate payments. We could have it send a text message notification. Hey, welcome to our firm, an email notification. Tons and tons of options for integrations to make these things happen behind the scenes without you having to manually keep things moving.
Hey, Daniel.
Yes.
On that note, just one other question that came about regarding a specific CRM and whether we can integrate to Monday. And the answer is we have about 40 native integrations, like you just mentioned. And then if you don't see what you're looking for right there, because we have an open API, that's something that we can do, either you yourself, or if you have technical capabilities through a Zapier or Integromat. And one last question that I'm seeing several times, Daniel, and you can catch your breath, is regarding an onboarding board. Is there an onboarding board? I've seen you do it before. I'm not sure that you'll show one today, but people have been asking whether there is a client onboarding board, which I think is beautiful. So it's a great question.
Maybe our next one.
Next one. Yeah. I feel like we have so many questions, so maybe we need a follow-up. So just FYI.
So I think client onboarding, employee onboarding, these are all fabulous things that, because it's a common workflow, there's a best way to do it. There's your firm's special way to onboard a client and make them feel the experience that you want them to have working with your firm. So I think it'd be something very similar to this kind of template we created before, with a list of items that need to be done by who. You could even, if you choose to share this board with your client, allow them to see the process along the way. That is what we do at Tech Guru. When we onboard our clients, we literally show them and share with them what we're doing and how things are going. I don't have one ready to go right now to show, unfortunately, but I would be, this is yet another example of a great application of monday.com to help manage. That is another example of a perfect workflow to use monday.com for, plus marketing initiatives, HR, So many great ways to use it. And I'm so excited that we've kind of got you thinking about other ways to use monday.com. So I want to now share that link that I mentioned previously about how to get the boards that you just saw here. So if you want to install this, the client portfolios, the 2020 tax return, and of course the sales pipeline, we package all of this up into a Monday app, which you can install for free. So all you have to do is go to techguruit.com/Monday. And what that's going to prompt you is with just a little form to fill out. We will not sell your email. We're going to use your email address to send you the instructions for how to download and install it. There are just a couple of steps that you have to take. It's not too difficult. It's totally worth it though. And so you can take the work, the heavy lifting that we've been working on this for weeks for you, and skip all of that, and then just go into customizing it for you, for your firm, and for your team and workflows, so that and install them for free. And also we'll include the Tech Guru workflow planner template, that Word document that I mentioned at the beginning that you can use to just kind of get your mind wrapped around the process that you want to use that works every time, who is involved, and gives you that ability to go in and start building that board with confidence, knowing that you've got a really good idea of what it is that you would like to build. So at this point, what I'd like to do is maybe share a couple of, or Sarit, if you'd like to share the additional support and resources, and then we've got a few minutes for Q&A.
Great, wonderful. So yeah, I think we did a pretty good job tackling most or all of the questions, right? I also put here in the chat, for those of you who asked for beginners webinars, we do have them. I know that some of you are new to Monday, so this was a lot to take in. And I think the beauty of those is that they happen on a regular basis and they're held by Monday, and you can join them, and then you can take advantage of what Daniel showed today. The other thing I put in here, again, is the form if you have additional questions for Daniel, and that's pretty much it. And then obviously, if you have any questions for Monday, you can always email us at support@monday.com 24/7, and in multi-languages, I should say, which I'm really proud of. We're very proud of our support team. So
awesome.
Yeah, let's see if there are any other questions.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'd like to show where the help functionality is that's built into the web app, and gives, I don't know, I've just found like every time I have a quick question, somehow it just knows what I'm looking for. And so let's say, you've got a question about, you want to learn about dependencies. I mean, I literally, here we go, how to set dependencies on monday.com. I literally use this article to learn, and I watch this video, and this is how I was able to learn how to set up dependencies and then automate them. So I've been really, really happy with the built-in help functionality. And these videos are like just a couple of minutes, but they just get right to the point and give you everything that you need. So anyway, I've been really, really, really happy about that. And here's even like an example board that's kind of built in that you can play with.
Yeah, and one more thing I was going to say, and I don't see that question now. I think it was Cameron who asked, and I think the rest of the folks here could benefit. He asked something along the lines of like archiving. Let's say, archiving, let's say all of last year's report, the tax filings, etc. And I think we've done some work also to archive to a board, right? Like with an automation.
Yeah, so there's two ways we could do archiving. The downside with using the built-in archive function, it can be a little bit hard to kind of dig what you're dig for and find what you're looking for. So the way that we've talked about doing archiving in the future is having a separate board called Client A Archive, and using this functionality, move group to board. So let's say it's February. Okay, January is a wrap. Let's go ahead and move this board to the Client A archive. We don't need to look at this anymore. However, in the event that you do need to go and find something about that's been done historically or in the past, it's as simple as going and looking at that archive board. So there's a couple of examples of way to archive information, because yes, the more you use this platform, the more you're going to build and lists getting longer and longer. And so it becomes very important to archive information. Another thing that you can do in the short term is just collapse groups that are no longer, need to be looked at as frequently. And so therefore it's a lot less scrolling that you have to do, but it's still really easy to, either search for what you're looking for or go and expand that group to take a gander. Those are all great questions. Thank you. Let's see, Leonard would like to know, can I store client permanent file documents that are regularly used in monday.com? Absolutely. I think I forgot to show the document view. And so it's really cool if you go the client route and there's a client documents view. So it's going to only show all the documents that are associated with that particular board. So really easy to click and see, and it's secure. When you have clients using this form, if you share this form with them, they can upload files up to 50 megabytes, and it's SSL encrypted. So it's secure file upload that you can use to exchange files with your clients. I know how important that is. And what's powerful about this is this link is going to upload files to this board. So it's linked directly to this board. Yeah, great question, Leonard. Thank you. Well, what do you think, Sarit? Any other questions you want to cover?
This was a good one. Yeah, I'm checking to see other questions. Yeah, there's a question regarding an income tax board with several groups, if there is a way to automate the value for a particular column to be equal to the name of the group. I'm not sure that this is something that could be done out of the box, just like from reading it. We might ask you, Avi, to reach out to support to double check, but my gut feel says no, this is not doable in this moment in time. Let's see what else. Is it possible to time track on multiple boards in one place, or through on click? Is that something you want to take?
Go ahead.
I think I've seen that done, but again, this is not something that is super common. So I would again advise to reach out to support. Let's see the file documents. Yeah, maybe if you have any other kind of final thoughts, recommendations, how to tackle 2021 with all the rigor that you just showed us. This is amazing. I think a lot of us are just like coming out of this very, very full, full plate and kind of really excited to tackle all those challenges coming ahead of us, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
What do you think?
I'll share some closing thoughts. The powerful thing about monday.com is it's never completely done. And so I always think about starting with creating a setup, creating a board, inviting your team members to it, and then just getting started using it, and then using what I call an iterative process. Okay. And so when you're preparing a tax return, it doesn't work that way to do things in an iterative way. It's got to be done right. It's got to be done right the first time, every time it has to be done right. Monday.com isn't like that. You can go in and play with it and start using it and build lists and add columns and change and move things around and kind of changing things up while you're using it. And so that's why I invite people to just go in and try some of the things out that you learned today and just play with it and have a test board, or we call it our playground. That's literally what this is. We call it our playground. Set up test boards, try things out. And then when it's ready for prime time, invite the rest of your team members to it and show them how to use it. The other thing I want to mention is if you do have any questions, we at Tech Guru are helping firms set up their monday.com boards, teach their people how to use it, and incorporate it into their business operating system. So just know that there's lots of help and support along the way. And if you need any help or have any questions, that this is what we do. We're here to help CPA firms. So with that, I just want to invite you to give it a try, play with it. You can't break anything. And always, worst case scenario, there's that helpful undo button in many cases. So I want to deeply express my gratitude to monday.com for hosting this, for Sarit for co-hosting with me. And we look forward to following up on other questions that have come in after the fact as well. And so, yeah, thank you all very, very much. Back to you for Sarit.
Yeah, I just wanted to, again, thank you so much, Daniel, for walking us through this really robust number of workflows, and for all of you for this active participation. It's just wonderful to see so many people, so many like-minded people, and listening in together. And let's stay in touch. Thank you again. And we look forward to hearing from you if you have any follow-up questions. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
All right, let's make this your best busy season yet. Take care, everyone.
Amazing. Here is to 2021. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.